Automating the growth side of business is hard, and while I can't say with perfect confidence that this experiment of mine is going to what the results it is that it's going to deliver, I can say that it's on the basis, the way that I've found in order to even set up and arrange the experiment is probably useful and a foundation for a way to set up a lot of different kinds of experiments. So I want to talk about which principles, not just which principles, but I'm going to walk you through this kind of system that I'm using whereby I want to generate leads, refer traffic to my main website, to cyrus.com, to @cyrus.com. But I want to do it from, as an experiment that I want to run with an agent with a high degree of freedom. I want to contain the blast radius, which is to say I want to limit what can go wrong. And so for that, I'm getting it its own domain name. So I bought a domain name for this experiment, and then I set up a system prompt and a Claude Code session, and the session is going to run persistently, and it's going to handle everything end to end. It's got a GitHub repository, it's got Vercel access where it can access analytics, and it can refine and iterate, and it's responsible for over time for managing its own time and responsible for iterating on and improving the lead generation and the SEO, the organic SEO for the page. So this is my first in this series. Maybe I'll do follow-ups on how this actually turns out. So far, I'm at least impressed with the architecture, and so I'm excited to kind of share that with you. So let me show you some of the basics first. First of all, what did I do? I had a little bit of a theory because I looked up and found that background Claude is a popular keyword, and when I searched for it, stuff that's not as relevant comes up. First of all, up here, and then this brings up interactive mode, which isn't what I'm looking for. This isn't what I'm looking for. So I saw an opportunity here, and I had bought backgroundclaud.com. That's something I'm excited. I want to make it so that it can buy domains too, but this is based on a little bit of research that I did, right? Now, so I want to start ranking for this keyword, and I have actually just backgroundclaud.com. Spoiler alert, this, once I asked the agent, okay, this is actually already iterated. This is just less than 24 hours into the experiment. So we're already off to the races, which already you can see that is kind of interesting and promising. It's got lead gen through to our site, and then it's got content, a set of guides that could really kind of be relevant, and then it's also starting to spin up and generate a blog with actually different concrete useful stuff. So okay, so how did we even get here, and what's going to happen next? So my goal overall, understand this, is to not touch this website. Okay, I am not touching this website. There is a repository that I created, and basically all I was going to do was okay, how can I give an agent end-to-end control, so of a low-risk thing, and make it as autonomous as possible. I never have to approve things really. So I want this end-to-end control for the agent. And I want also it to have data feedback for running the experiment, and then it's going to have to track its experiments over time too. So that's going to be what's really interesting. And then, yeah, I want it like fully sandboxed, so that the and small blast radius. Blast radius here means how can I limit the damage that the agent can do while giving it high degrees of freedom. So some similar to fully sandboxed is like high degrees of freedom. So these are some of the things I'm aiming for. End-to-end control means responsibility for running the experiment. Yeah, for running the experiment and optimizing, right? It actually has to optimize the number of leads that it's like referring to our website like over time, right? So these are some of the parameters. Now let's jump into like how what kind of the setup steps were, and yeah, how the architecture kind of works. A session. Here is the Claude Code session, and so if we kind of sign into it, then we can kind of see, you know, what's its current status, what's it doing, is it resting, is it working, and we'll talk about that in a second. It has access to GitHub via the command line and MCP servers, and it can push to the repository that I created for it. Another really important thing that I did was give the ability to access to the actual browser here, the live browser. In particular, like when I say like that it can access feedback, it could actually access the Google Search Console for backgroundcloud.com that I bought. So because this is less than 24 hours, we're not seeing any results here yet, but it can actually access this, and we can see from its recent stuff that it's actually been using the Chrome DevTools MCP server to take a look into the browser and to see like what's the current status. So it's got a plan. Let me walk you through and kind of see a couple key details about the system prompt as well. So in the system prompt, we have stuff in there where we say you have to manage time. And in order for it to manage time, it actually uses like these things called scheduled things, or cron. It's called cron create. And I've seen it create these basically future wake ups, and that prevents me from having to like wake it up in order to like continue on the experiment. So that's a really neat pattern for giving it, again, degrees of freedom. So what else did we do to create the sandbox? First of all, I created a whole separate user account. I know that there's on Mac Studio, and I know that there's a lot of different ways to do this. I just kind of like this one. It's one of the simplest ways for me to create a sandbox. I also I didn't create a new Vercel account and a new, but I did create a new Vercel team, and then team scoped API token. And then I also created the new GitHub repository and fine-grained token with only repo access. And then I used those tokens and got those signed in. Let's take a look at my MCP configuration to see kind of a little bit about what those configs look like. Here we have a Vercel MCP server with a bearer token from the TeamScope bearer token. We have the GitHub MCP server with the fine-grained repo token, and then also we have the Cyrus token, which I'll show in a minute what that's kind of good for. So yeah, there you see some of the MCP servers. There was also the Chrome DevTools one. I had to tweak it a little bit because I had to set up auto connect. It's not too hard to get this stuff going, but auto connect is an important little gotcha. I did have to edit this file after I installed the plugin, but installing the plugin was pretty easy. Claude plugin install Chrome DevTools MCP, and then but I had to edit this to add auto connect as an arg. Let's take a quick look at that. Actually, it wasn't that file. Let me correct that. It wasn't that file. It was this one. Yeah, so this file, I had to edit it to have this -- auto connect, and that combines with this property, Chrome Inspect Remote Debugging here, which you have to turn on, and then there'll be a prompt when it actually tries to kind of connect to. And inside of the session, thirdly, I had to write reload plugins in order for it to activate. Once it had activated, it's really cool watching it control the browser, watching it take screenshots, navigate around inside of the Google Search Console so they can get that feedback. There's no like MCP server for Google Search Console, I think, so that's why it's like pretty much the only way is to give it browser access and then to like have it use that. So now we kind of have this, I'm going to show you two more things. As my normal way of like interacting with this could be, I could go into here, but I don't actually like that. I like, so I'm going to detach from that session, and I'm just going to show you a couple of the things that that kind of come together to make this work. One of them is the optimizer system prompt. So this is the one where we kind of give it its system instructions. Time management and self-scheduling is super important, just because I don't want to like have to handle prompting it, and make sure that it uses memory task list and planning. Sometimes the agent won't know which parts of its own abilities it should use because it's generally not going to use as much freedom as it actually has. Like it's going to sort of like, it doesn't want to overact, but you can basically just say, hey, like you're extremely autonomous, you have these capabilities, use them. I want you to use them. And yeah, you're responsible for managing background Claude.com end-to-end deployed on Vercel. And so like it knows that it's like responsible for this entire thing, and your ultimate goal is driving qualified traffic through to AdCyrus.com. Every optimization decision should be evaluated against that conversion funnel. So it really needs that like overarching like objective. And then we've come up with a few things. Maybe these are the best ways to do it. Maybe it's not. But like it can actually use these folders like SEO agent experiments. So it's using the repository as well as a place to track the experiments. Now, just some like kind of, so there's that one. And then there's also, I want to show you the actual Claude command that I'm using. So that file, that optimizer system prompt, we're not just appending to system prompt, we're actually overwriting system prompt here. So is that the best? Or append system prompt? I don't know which one's better. We're going to find out. But and then also we've got this dangerously low development channels, so server Cyrus, which I'm going to show you in a minute. And then dangerously skip permissions. And we do dangerously skip permissions because we're in a complete sandbox here. The blast radius is super small. We kind of know the most it can do is do what it can do inside of this like completely clean user account. There's nothing it can access anywhere inside of this user account. And yeah, and then we run it inside of Tmux, like I showed you, just so that we can kind of get in and out of it. And we gave it a name. We gave this session a name. So it's just nice to name these things, if we jump in there, you can actually see, I think not too long ago that I named it. Oh, it's not showing me. But I did /rename, and I called it, I called it Claude O, this session. You can see it kind of there on the right. And I also, so in order to detach, I don't I don't kill the session. I just detach from it with Control V, D. So now, yeah, it's running, it's there, and now finally I want to show you kind of the last bit that's kind of a really cool aspect of this that beams into what we're doing with Claude Code channels and Cyrus, which is that channels gives us that ability to actually to communicate with the agent at the same time through something like Telegram. So I'm going to show you on my phone what that bit is like. Maybe I'll bring this back up. So here I've got my Telegram chat with my agent, and I'm going to say, how is it going? How's it going? You can see it. There, it has an update for me about how things are going with the SEO. So, taken all together, I think you can kind of see how this lets us get out of the loop and just create a high degree of freedom, high agency agent that can, do lead gen for us. And on principle, I want to, reinforce how important it is to give it this feedback loop where it can actually access the data so that it can run the experiment. And so when you're thinking about deploying agents, really think about that feedback loop so that you don't have to be the one bringing feedback to it. You're trying to just deploy a closed loop system where the agent has access to everything that it needs access to, doesn't need to ask you for permission for anything, except for what you want it to ask you permission for. And yeah, so I look forward to sharing more about my experiments with this as they developed.